just wanna run. My energy is safe and when reveling I'm undone, I feel the decay. I don't wanna be alone. I can still feel you inside my bones.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Architect the Dreamer back with another ATD Reacts. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. I am so stoked that you're here. If you are returning, welcome back. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button, click that little bell so you'll get notified every time I drop a new video. Make sure to follow me on socials at ATDmusic, on Instagram and Threads at ATDreacts, and on Facebook at ATDofficial. At the beginning of this video, you heard a snippet of my new song Bones, which is out now on all streaming platforms. You can find the link for that in the description below. This song means a lot to me. I put a lot of time and a lot of myself into it, and I would really love it if you guys would check that out. Happy Wednesday reaction. We are finally getting to the end of the Money Game trilogy with Money Game Part 3. We've got an official music video for this. It is 9 minutes long. I am so excited. I've heard that this one is very different sounding than Money Game Part 1 and 2, but has very similar themes. So I'm excited. I'm seeing a piano already from the jump, so that makes me happy. So without any further ado, we're just going to dive right in. This is Money Game Part 3 from REN. Let's get it. Ooh. Phantom of the Opera. Oh, wow. God, what a beautiful grand piano. Okay, that's trippy. Oh, such a cool video so far. Definitely see the growth just from a film perspective. Okay, so I think that's REN. Sam must be the other guy. Even just the way it's shot into the mirror to see Sam in the background is so cool.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24.
All right, real quick, because I don't know that we're going to get a good place to stop and talk about this, but holy smokes. First of all, this video is so cool. Like, you can tell it's on some kind of like in some kind of a warehouse or even like maybe a soundstage or something like that. And it appears to be just kind of one rotating, spinning shot. And the way that it's happening, like I've seen behind the scenes stuff because I love film, of how this kind of stuff is actually created, and like the people that are standing to the side and like the people that are there to move things out of the way, and the actors that are like a part of the video that are coming in and doing their part. So we've got Sam, and we've got the young boy, and then we've got slightly older, and then we've got like the teenager. All of this is like one shot, which is so cool from like an actual film perspective. Musically, I love piano so much. There are very few things in life that are just as like naturally beautiful as somebody playing a piano and playing it well to like this degree. And I love how, as we're kind of progressing in the story that Ren is telling, the music itself is kind of picking up, and we've got a lot more chaos happening in the way that it's being played, which is very, very reminiscent of the classical icons and Beethoven and Mozart and all of those amazing composers. And then from an actual lyrical perspective, like, we already know that Ren is the king of storytelling, but the way that he's able to take specific things at specific ages that really paint this whole picture of this kid who is already being emotionally manipulated and really abused by his father. And once his father finds out that he's smart, starts exploiting his child in hopes to have his child make a lot of money, which then means that he doesn't have to do anything and he doesn't have to make money, which is something that happens every single day, regardless of what country or what part of the world you're in. It happens. Parents, adults have kids that didn't want to have kids. They wanted to have a miniature version of themselves, and they wanted somebody that they can control and that they can push to do the things that they failed at. For me, like growing up, I loved art. I drew all the time. All the time. I remember being 7, 8 years old and just being obsessed with drawing Dragon Ball Z characters and Yu-Gi-Oh characters and stuff like that. And then I got a little bit older and started drawing more realistic stuff, and was drawing my favorite athletes, and was drawing cars that I wanted, and specifically, like, I don't know if people remember the hype around like the remodel of the Mitsubishi Eclipse, but like I wanted that car so bad when I was like 14 years old, and so I would draw that. And I feel like I was a pretty damn good artist, and so did my parents, and so they started pushing that. And so I was in art classes, and then I was in AP art, and they were pushing me to like get into graphic design and stuff like that to go into college. And I began to hate it because it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't something that I enjoyed. It was something that I felt like I was being pushed to do. And that is, I know that is just kind of a anecdote from my own life, but like that's the kind of story that I'm kind of seeing unfold here. And it's very, very true to reality and also so expertly written. I'm loving this so far. We're going to run this back just a little bit.
Student number 1, 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17,
I work in IT. That's my day job. I am a network engineer, and I just think it's funny that that's the direction that this is going. And my brother is also a computer programmer, and so like we're both in the technology industry, and so hearing somebody at 15 with an IQ of 150 and developing software code and then selling it at 17, like my brother dropped out of college because he got offered to go work for a startup in Silicon Valley, and was making more money than he ever wanted, or not wanted, but like expected to, without having a degree. And he's never turned back, and now he's incredible in his field. But there's just a lot of stuff in here that's super interesting choices for how this is being told.
He sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18 and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval, moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 30.
Oh man, obviously this wraps up into like the idea of greed and trying to get as much as you can, but the deeper issue here, the deeper root of this, is seeking approval of somebody who really doesn't love you. Like in this scenario, his dad doesn't love him. He doesn't. And I've felt that myself. Like the fact that he can continue to be so successful and get to a point where he feels like he has to start doing illegal things just to earn his dad's approval. Like, I know that this is like a story, and I don't know if this is describing somebody specific. The story is very specific, and this specific story is very real and has happened to a lot of people. But if you ever had a dad that treated you like this, I'm sorry. And fuck that dude.
2, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it.
Such a cool
Blind
shot.
eye from the popo inside of his pocket. 35, he gets the call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack. I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed up, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion, heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
Oh man. The progression into absolute chaos and ultimately darkness that started from birth, that started as a child. I know that there's a lot of science behind, like, people are going to be who they are because of the nature, but the way that children are nurtured has such a strong effect on how they end up. And a lot of people don't end up in a very good place. 35, which is how old I am, so like that hits close to home, but dad has a heart attack. So he gets mad. He starts drinking. He starts frivolously spending that money, again, just trying to like get to this fictional, unachievable place that his father tried to nail into him that he had to do. And now you've gone from moving drugs and moving guns and whatever to now you're working with the cartel, and now you get shot and you're not able to walk again. Like the cycle and the descent into just ultimate darkness from just one little seed at the very beginning. So powerful.
I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion, heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebrae and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
Still see the smoke settling around, which I think is also very symbolic. Oh.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city.
The full circle.
Inside a palace with a mountain of gold, but those riches turn to rubble and perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Call the music.
I love that he brought the strings into this, because it's so beautiful, but it's also so sad. And I think a lot of us end up in a place where we look back at the last 10, 20, 30 plus years of our life and go, what the fuck was I doing? Like that reality sets in once the constant adrenaline of chasing that thing runs out, or something tragic happens and you no longer can do that thing anymore. Sitting back and just having this regret of like, why did I do that? How the fuck did I get here? And then having that regret symbolized in the instruments, in the violins and the cello and the bass, like, oh, beautiful. Beautiful, but heartbreaking.
With a mountain of gold, but those riches turn to rubble and perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him.
We
and
could
it's
all
a
end
version
up
of
in that
she.
place.
And it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck for money and fame. Call the music. This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution? Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me.
I don't know if this is a choice based on the story that's being told, but I can't help but look at him as he's loading this magazine and holding the gun, and his finger is on the trigger the entire time, which is so against like what you're taught with gun safety. You never put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to shoot it. And my guess, because everything Ren does is intentional, is that that's the point. Is like your finger is always on the trigger, and there's always going to be this chance or opportunity to end it all or to cause more destruction, especially when you allow greed and the hunger for power to run and control you. And as somebody that is trained with firearms, it's just interesting. That choice is something that I don't know that everybody's going to pick up on. And it just immediately stood out to me. But I digress. See, finger on the trigger from the jump, even as he's pulling out the magazine.
Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consume till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise.
Yeah, I definitely think he's doing that on purpose, especially the way that he's just kind of like shaking it around is like just this volatility of this thing that could go off at any moment.
Subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consume till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise.
Oh.
45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain. soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking the game. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
All right, that was Money Game Part 3. That is a devastating story just because of how real it is. Man, we talk about it all the time. You guys talk about it in my comments. I've talked about it in previous videos. REN's storytelling ability is so intricate and beautiful, even down to simple things like this entire story leading up to this person Jimmy's age of being 45 and then pulling the trigger on a 45 caliber gun. Like, yeah. We need to do better as a society. So much of the pain and the despair in this world is because of people's pursuit of money and fame and power. And for what? At the end of it all, for what? Because it doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you feel joy or satisfaction, because it's an addiction, just like anything else. And once you have a little taste of it, you just want a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. And before you know it, everything that was good in your life is destroyed because the only thing you care about is that one thing. Man, this Money Game trilogy was... I think it's funny on my screen right now. It says Money Game Part 3, but because of the links for other videos to check out at the bottom, it just says art. And that's exactly what this is. It is just art. Well, I would love to hear what you guys think. What you guys think of the Money Game trilogy as a whole. What you guys thought of Part 3 in particular. Yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. So drop down in the comments. Put your thoughts there. Let me know. I'm looking forward to the interactions with all of you. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, click that little bell, follow me on socials, check out my new single, and I'll see you guys back here for the next one.